Hello world, Son of the Soul here, ready to shine some light. Ready to shine some light? How you feeling today? How you breathing today? You enjoying your view? Did you sun gaze today? That's what I'm gonna be talking about today. How to sun gaze. Now, sun gaze is a very ancient practice. It's been done by a lot of people back then. It's been done by the Egyptians, the Aztecs, the Mayans, even the Native Americans. And it's crazy how it's been scattered all over. It's really like scattered all over the world back then. But you know what? This is how I see it, you know. It doesn't matter where you're from, you know, whatever tribe you in, anything like that, you know, we all have something in common. We live off of the sun. We live off of the sun. We thrive off of the sun. So, I think that's pretty cool. And you know, you think I'm gonna give you some instructions on how to sun gaze. I can't exactly give you instructions because the way I sun gaze, it works for me, you know. And I never came up with sun gazing, you know. I didn't invent sun gazing. See, and this is where people they kind of misconstrued the whole concept of sun gazing. We're all in the process of seeking. So you say what? It's I guess we're guessing how to do it. Why I say that? Why do I say that? I say that because we're not older than the sun. Look at the human species. Is the human species older than the sun? You know? The sun was here before Earth turned into Earth, you know? And the sun has brothers and sisters. It has other stars out there that are like or similar to the sun. So you can never truly know. You can never truly know. You can only be in the process of seeking. The question is, what is it that you're seeking? So upon sun gazing, you can ask yourself that. What is it am I seeking exactly? A man named HRM came from India, came to the Western world, and taught a way how to sun gaze. Now, this is it's a way for everybody to do it. You know, it's a size fits all. Rather, size fits all. And basically he says, you know, to plant your feet, you know, go barefoot in Mother Nature. You know, you have to have your feet on that soil or sand or rock, earth, you know. And you look at the sun as you normally do with anybody else. And you start your first session at 10 seconds. And each session you continue, you add another 10 seconds until you reach 45 minutes. Now after 45 minutes, you can plant your feet for 10, 15 minutes here and there to keep the benefits. Now that's the instructions with size fits all, you could say, you know. And it's cool. You know, this is how I started off. I started off doing that, you know. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you perspectives, and these perspectives will allow you to gauge what is right for you when you're trying to sun gaze. You know? So, like I said, we was talking about, this is an ancient practice. So let's talk about time. You know, time is something that us humans made up. You know, this is based on the moon and the sun, and it has nothing to do with anything else. You got to understand that the sun is just a grain in the sand. There's so many other stars out there. So many other stars. So to base time off of the sun and the moon, see, that's where we get month from, is the completed cycle of the moon phase. You know, that's where we get month from, the word month, from the moon. Now, we're just basing it on our own moon, you know. Saturn got a whole bunch of moons. So, it's an illusion. You know, we made it up. But you know, that's how we feel what works for us in a linear time. When you're trying to figure out, okay, I gotta get from point A to point B in such and such time. You know, that's how we use it. Or okay, the day is here for this, that, and the third to happen. You know, this is how we use in time. The time is an illusion. You have to understand that. So in regards to time, you have to realize that sunrise and sunset is also an illusion. Sunrise and sunset is also an illusion. Now, the first video I made on this channel, it was pretty cool. I got a thumbnail on it, and that thumbnail is very important to me. Now, you know, you would think it looks like the sun, but it's actually not. It's not the sun. It's actually the moon. And I was editing it and stuff. This picture of the moon I actually took when there was a lunar eclipse. This was a couple months back. I believe it was in October. And I was taking pictures of it, and you know, that moment it kind of hit me that I was like, wow, you know, there was a lot of light reflecting off the camera, and I'm like, wow, you know, this is emanating a whole lot of light, this moon. But I realized that it's not the moon, that's the sun doing that. You know, that's the sun's light reflecting off the moon. I'm like, oh shit, that's the sun. So it gave me a way to think. Now I realize that even though it's nighttime, the sun is always making its presence. It's always making its presence. So that's why I say now that, you know, it can be raining, it can be pouring outside, it can be a blizzard outside, it could be a thunderstorm, tornado. It's still a sunny day. It's still a sunny day. So you have to understand that time is an illusion. Sunrise and sunset, it's easier for somebody who's just getting started with sun gazing for them to gaze at sunrise and sunset. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, you can't look at the sun all day, you can only look at these times. No, but it makes more sense that, okay, you know, how often do we use our eyes to seeing that kind of light? The sun is shedding out 10,000 watts of light on Earth. You know, you could look at your light bulb. My light bulb is, I think that's 120, 100 watts. You know, so it's a way for us to understand that we don't usually do that. We don't usually take in that kind of light. So it makes sense to train yourself into seeing that kind of light. So it makes sense to see the sun at sunrise or sunset. It's a lot easier to look at, especially at sunrise, because with sunrise you can start your sessions the moment it peaks out. And the moment it peaks out, it's bright orange. It's extremely easy to look at. So I kind of disregard time on that, you see, because it's only because we kind of put ourselves in the shade so much, you know. There's a lot of people who buy hats. If you buy a hat, you know, most likely you could be using it to keep yourself in the shade. Sometimes people like hats just to like hats, but you know, unknowingly we're putting our eyes to adjust to the shade, you know. You know, do you go into the beach? Do you really soak in that sun, or are you looking for some shade? Do you have a beach umbrella? It's funny, you know. But that's in regards to time. That's how I feel about time. So if you're starting off, it feels good to start off sunrise, sunset. Now, some people say that, okay, I can't look at the sun in the middle of the day because of the UV. Okay, sunrise and sunset, the UV index is at 0 or 1, very minimum, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Now, what you have to understand is that the sun always had UV light, which lets you know that UV light's always been present, you know. It could have been a little bit different back then, because thousands of years ago, you know, there wasn't the Industrial Revolution. You know, we put a lot of pollutants in the air as a human species so far right now. So I would infer that the atmosphere back then is different from now. It must have been real easy for them to look at the sun, right? It must have been real easy. Does it stop us from looking at it now? I say not, because UV light's always been present. Take for instance, birds. Beautiful creatures. I love birds. Real awesome creatures. Now, birds are just as active as us in the daytime. Most birds, right? But the thing is, they're in the sky a lot, you know? They're in the sky. You know, they're not sitting in an airplane or anything. They're getting this light from the sun. So they have a closer relationship to the sun than us, right? Now, the sun sheds out UV light. Do birds only fly in the morning? Do birds only fly at sunset? Not if they're hungry. Not if they want to go fly somewhere. Not if they want to hang out, you know? So, what you also have to understand is that birds need light to live. They literally do, you know? Pet birds, they need natural light. They eat with it. They understand each other's gender using UV light. It's amazing. It's amazing. They use UV light. Now there's another cone in their eye that allows them to see UV light. Understand that its presence is always there. It just means that we just don't see it but it's there, you know. Some insects, they reflect UV light, and that's how birds can spot them, with UV light. That's how they populate. You know, that's how they see who's male, who's female. They check their feathers. Now, if the sun didn't have UV light, let's just say the sun, it just never came up with that part of the spectrum, would birds have evolved different? Would we have evolved different? You see? So imagine the sun without UV. Would we look different? That's a great question, right? It's a cool perspective. This is what leads me to believe that, you know, UV light is taken in a way that puts you into fear. That UV light is scary. No, UV light is everywhere. If it's daytime, if the sun is out, if you see the sun, the UV is there. So keep that in mind if you look in the sun gaze. Now, what's another one? So we talked about time, we talked about UV. Oh, grounding. Grounding yourself during sun gazing. Now, whether you like it or not, if you're sun gazing, what's gonna happen is your pineal gland, this little nub in the middle of your brain, is going to decalcify. It's going to become more sensitive, more active. You know. Now the pineal gland is related to the third eye. This goes into your intuition. You know, it leads you to clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience. These are extra senses that we can learn about, and that'll also sharpen our senses. I believe that's why if you have bad vision, sun gazing starts to work on your senses, and it brings out the others, right? Now, if you never heard of this stuff, you know, it might be a little unsettling. It might be scary for somebody. It might put fear, but you have to understand that, you know, fear, anxiety, anger, these are all perceptions. It's on the head. It's on the head. People take life personal, you know. So grounding yourself, planting your feet on Mother Nature, it actually stimulates the root chakra, which deals with fear, anxiety, you know. So if you see something, if you end up seeing something or hearing something, it wouldn't get you scared, you know. You can deal with the process so much easier if you ground yourself. Ground yourself. This is for people who are looking for enlightenment with sun gazing. You know, I do too. I also am healing my eyes, right? So I don't always go to the park. I end up having I have like a little tray, and this is something I do. This is something I do. You know, that's got nothing to do with anybody that I've learned from or anything. But this is what makes me feel good. So I abide by it. So I take a little tray and I got soil on it, and you know, I'll put it by the window and I'll just put my feet on the soil and I'll stand next to my plants and we soak up the sun. You know, but that's why I feel what grounding becomes so prevalent, because if you're sun gazing, you know, you might see something. You might hear something. You might feel something, you know? But that's what keeps us grounded. That's what keeps us here on Earth, you know, before it gets too Star Wars for us. But there you have it. I'm gonna be dishing out a lot more videos. Check me out. Subscribe to the light. I love you guys. Peace.